Well, good afternoon here in Mecca, in Saudi Arabia. We arrived here this morning, March 8th, and well, it's not really if you're not a Muslim, it's not really the town to hang out in. But I mean, with all due respect. So we're gonna leave today already, and our next trip around the world will be, if you can, if you see where we are in the world. So here we are in Mecca. I think it's called Mecca East, the airport. It's not used for mass tourism. That's Jeddah here. So we're gonna fly to the east because we have to somehow make it around the world. So if we're looking at 700 nautical miles, 800 nautical miles, well, we'll have to do a long trip again because we're going to Dubai. And Dubai is in the United Arab Emirates. And that must be here somewhere. If you're not sure about the local language, just switch to English and there you go. So there you're certain that you're in Dubai and Dubai City. That's where we are. That's where we should be. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna just set our target there, and now you say 870 nautical miles. Right. So back to where we are, and switch maps. That's all we need to do for straightway to get us out of here, and then we'll program our landing and approach once we're in the air. So let's start up the citation. So just get this where we are here. Mecca must be behind that hill. Yeah. Before we start up, just check on the weather. At least we know which runway to use. We're in. This is Jeddah, so because Mecca is not available on Avia weather. This is real weather. It's not simulated. It's the actual weather. But since Flight Simulator has is supposed to have actual weather, we're gonna use it. 1012 is our hectopascal, and our 290, 80 knots. So it's pretty hefty, but we're taking off on runway 01, I think. So a left side wind, crosswind of 80 knots, so that's important. At 29 degrees. Okay, so let's start her up. Parking brake set. Battery on. Emergency lights on. Avionics on. And then let's go and start her up. Just switch on our beacon and our lights, our standard lights. Then fire her up. Number 1 engine. Our terrain map is coming live. 20, 20 and 2. There we go. watch again for 20. Sorry. Gonna wait till it's completely online, the engine. Number 1. Okay, we've got electricity for the generator for the right engine. Move our cart and run. Yeah, so I didn't watch the end too. Apparently that's not necessary because it's completely entirely FADEC E-engines in the CG4. Williams, I think, is the brand of engine. And our barometer set it to 1012. There you go, and then right away set our altitude 41,000. Always 41,000 because we're flying to the east. And pair number, we want to have 40,000, but our FLC, I like to set it when we're on the ground 230. So in that way the autopilot is immediately hands off. Like so, and then our heading in the autopilot, and we'll set that once we're on the threshold of the runway. Let's go back to straightaway to see how we need to taxi. Well, it's not very complicated. We have to backtrack on the runway to our takeoff point. That's it. Okay. Let's go. Sure, we're gonna clear that guy. Set our taxi lights. That's the only thing we need to do. Parking brakes release. Full power brakes to the left. Gently. There we are. And pick up that line here. And then to the left, because we need to take off to the north, backtracking on the runway. And yeah, I should have put on our strobe, of course, and landing lights. That's a big little mistake, but okay, we'll do that when we in our pre-flight. There we are. And there's even a patch to make our U-turn. Gonna use that. Oops. We're straightaway aligned, so we'll do our pre-flight here. Of course, our landing lights. Strobe on. And then our true pre-flight, which is the laps 15, and then next time I'll do this on the threshold. Set our trim. then our always our pitot. Even if we're does it say that with these temperatures? Yeah, it still says we need to set the pitot. So we're doing that. And so our lights, that's already okay. Those are the 4 things to do. And we're ready to go. Our target is pointing to Jeddah, so let's go. Rotate at 110. Watch it left. And rotate. Yeah, that was gusty wind from the left. Positive rate of climb, gear up. Okay. And laps up also. Set our heading to and autopilot's activated. We're climbing out on autopilot now. And that's okay, that's our runway that we took off from. There we are. Wonderful day, of course. Middle East. Climbing out over Jeddah. And in the background you can see the tower just behind the plane. I don't know if you there it is. That's Mecca. But you've seen that in the previous video when we did a flyover of the Kaaba. And now we are heading out on our way to Dubai, which will be a long, boring stretch. So set us en route. If you go to our navigation page, it's about visually set the bug visually where the yellow arrow is, just visually, and then do the fine tuning afterwards. Over the mountains here. Pretty mountainous terrain. So, on our way to Dubai, approximately. Climbing out, landing lights, can put those off. And then, what else we can... Yeah, our barometer. We already switch it to standard, because there's no ATC. And no airspace regulation, or in our world where we're flying, to demonstrate straight away. So we're almost going straight to Dubai, 69, but we should be going at 72, so we're gonna turn 3 degrees to the right with the autopilot. 1, 2, 3. And we're slightly turning. 860 nautical miles. That's 2 hours. We can check in the FMC, in the performance tab. In our fuel management, we can see time to reserve is it's 2 hours. That's a bit. Okay, we didn't check our fuel, and that's what you get when you well, you don't use the fuel is at how come we're at fuel 5,000. Oh, it's not. We were good. Fuel was good, but how come we have only 2 hours to reserves? With 5,810. It's probably because we're using we're at climb fuel rates. That probably will drop once we're at cruise altitude. Because right now, if you look at the yellow number, hold on. So if you look at the yellow number, that's 2 hours and 20 minutes. And our fuel, according to the computer, the FMC, is only 2 hours. So it's a bit boring. Hopefully that'll straighten out. Surely the Citation has a range, I think it's 2,000 nautical miles, so with a full tank we should be fine. Well, it's probably because of the climb burn rates. So climbing out over the looks like we lost the belly camera, and looks like we lost our keyboard. Can still fly the plane. Yep. So my controls are okay, but I can't control the keyboard. I can't, for instance, switch to the belly view or to the outside view. And well, it's a bit of a shame because then we can't look outside. We can only look from the cockpit. Well, that's how it works in real life, but let's use another. Nope. And Problem is, that's gonna... Right. So our keyboard is detached, which is a problem if we want to change the... well, it's not a problem. We need to use the knobs, so I can't use my keyboard. For instance, we have to turn it 2 degrees to the right, so I'm gonna turn to the right. But I can't do that because... Oh, that's possible. So we'll do it the old school. Sorry, it's to the left. Yeah, it's weird. And it still worked when we took off in Mecca, because I set the our altitude and our MLC using my keyboard. So somewhere along the way, my keyboard lost functionality, and we'll try and fix that. When we're at cruise altitude. Once we stabilized, and we'll be over a desert. Our whole stretch. This will very likely all be desert without much to see anyway. But still. There you go. For some reason we're back in business. I don't know what. Probably a glitch. As said, there will be not much to see along the way, except for the odd roads like this one, which is the road going to, that's probably this one, the road going to this place and then to this place, and this place is called, we're gonna need to switch to English. Riyadh. Oh, it's Riyadh. It's the capital. And that's Qatar. Not Qatar. Qatar. And yeah. So this road, if we follow this road, we go to Riyadh. But we're not gonna do that. We're flying to Dubai. So if you haven't seen the other videos, the English map works for the real big names, highs, when you zoom down to the map. But if you zoom in, then yeah, still gives, wherever it can, it gives English names. I'm gonna compare it with the detailed map. You'll see that it's all Arab now. So the same. So if you get much more detail, but it's in the local language. If you're lost and really want to know a name of a place, use the English. So we'll be flying south of Qatar. As we speak, United States, Trump is bombing Iran, so this is not a safe place to fly around in. But we're in a simulator, and we're not bothered by such details. Once we're in Dubai, we'll probably fly to the Taj Mahal in Delhi. But first to Dubai. And where are we? In our almost at cruise altitude. So gonna check on our fuel. Oh, that increased already to 2 to 3 hours. That's more like it. So it takes just into account your current fuel burn, which is of course high because we're at 1700. Yep. And we're almost there. At our cruising altitude. And this is where we are. Contrailing even in this dry air because we're so high. Forbidding terrain for boating. An area of the world where you don't want to end up without fuel or a crash or whatever. But luckily we're in our citation CJ4 with all its amenities. I don't know if you can go to the cabin from the cockpit. If you turn around and perhaps if you... Yep, that's as far as you can go. Yeah, so that's our cabin. Empty. Gonna doze off pretty soon in one of those comfy chairs. And in the meantime, we're coming up on cruise altitude of 41,000 feet. Huge expanse, and yeah, there's not much detail on these maps.
Altitude.
This looks like some kind of a river. Some kind of river. Is it, or is this just a border? That's weird. It's not really drawn. The map. There's a kind of settlement here. So the map is fairly detailed, so I wonder why this river is... it obviously is a river, but the map doesn't show. Perhaps the geo map? No. Well, it happens sometimes in Flight Simulator that they that it draws something as a body of water, like a lake, and then in reality it's a dry lake. And that's probably the case. So this is probably the river. No, that's a road. That's a road running out. We should be over it now. Just can put our speed against the red tape. And are we flying? Yeah, we're flying straight to, almost straight to Dubai. I'm sometimes making these adjustments without telling you that we stick that the teal number on the screen sticks to the yellow number as much as possible. But luckily you don't have to do that at such distances. You don't have to do that too often. Okay, so we are at cruise. Perhaps you can plan our what we're gonna do in Dubai. So here we are. Let's change back to the channel map. And you want to go to Dubai, just click on the little flag in the middle of the screen, and then you go to your target. So we set Dubai in a very blank, broad way, but now we want to do a little tour, perhaps see the iconic Burj Khalifa. And I think that's along. You got this water. This waterway, and it must be along its shore, so you just look for it. Oh, here it is. Got this little Walt Disney lake, and here it is. You see the shape, the triangle shape, Mercedes star. Why didn't they build it straight with the... Jesus. So, the straightway is really accurate. I can imagine they wanted to put the southern tip straight to the south. Well, they didn't. If you look at the pyramids, they did. The Egyptians, so I'm gonna put a marker here. But if we go to what the Egyptians did 4,000 years ago, if you go to Cairo, where we were on our previous trip, and you go to the pyramids which are where are the pyramids? They're just at the outskirts of here they are, the pyramids, and there you are. This is Giza of Cheops, the biggest one. Now if we zoom in on the biggest one, look how accurate, look at the borders of the screen. It's built 4,000 years ago, and how beautifully south or look at how it aligns with the side of the screen. That's just amazing. Now if you go back to our Burj Khalifa, there we are. Oh gee, that's embarrassing. Oh man, that's really embarrassing, because it was obviously the intent to build it south. I can't imagine okay, anyway, that will be our first. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put a marker here, straight in the middle. Okay, that's our first waypoint. I'm gonna make sure we're not hit it, of course. And for the rest, well, we just fly to the airport, and you got the those islands, but we'll be able to see them from when we approach the Burj. Because this is our line, our target line, so we're coming in from here. So you'll just be able to see them from them. And then we're on our way to the airport. The airport is here. Yeah, there's no way to see it, so we get to choose which runway. And we'll pick the one closest to the aprons, which is this one. This is always the same. thing we need to do, just place a marker at the start and at the end of the runway. So this is the start, or no, start and ends at both thresholds. Put it approximately in the middle, don't have to be all that accurate. And then the other side as well, and that way you get the orientation of your runway, and even the length of the runway. Like so. So that will be our 3 points. And then we need to get the elevation, but that will be probably sea level, but you never know, so I'm gonna make sure. Switch to the elevation map for the runway. Up, we get an overspeed. And then, oh, that's 10 meters. But we're gonna put it in anyway. Hold on, you first need to make a route out of it. So we got our 3 points. We got our 3 points. One is the Burj Khalifa. So I'll put my target somewhere else so you can see the 3 points. So our first will be waypoint, should be the Burj Khalifa. So click on it or in its vicinity, and then it'll center, and now you can add it as a first waypoint because you have this button now. There you go. And then the that depends on the wind, which way we're gonna land. And well, we can already watch the hold on, to take our weather app. Dubai. OMDB, I suppose that's just, Dubai. Mecca expired. Well, so there's a wind blowing in from 220, which means the runways are 30 or 12, and 30 is closest, so it will be a 30 runway. So 30 left. We'll check on the QNH later on again. But we'll be landing from the right to the left. So we've got already one waypoint in our route. The last waypoint is the active threshold, and the before last waypoint should be the inactive. So the inactive is this one. So that should be the next waypoint. Oh, hold on. So click. Yeah. Now it's selected. Add it. And then the last waypoint should be the active threshold. There you go. It's very important. Otherwise you'll be landing in the other direction. Or we'll be guided in the other direction. And that's it. We got, oh yeah, we have to enter our altitude. Make sure we're at the last waypoint, number 3, and then that this button is activated, and then click on the 121, which is the course between this number 2 and number 3. So that's the runway heading, but make it the reverse. And now the little plane has appeared, and then you can enter 10 meters, and that's it. Now you have a top of descent calculated, 532 nautical miles. And if you want to go to the Burj, go to 1. There you go. And we'll be there in 1 hour and 20 minutes. So you can enjoy the desert, but we fly real time in these demonstrations. So I'll just let it run, and perhaps I'm gonna do a nap in the back of the plane. Perfectly legal. And gonna light up the cockpit a little bit. Like so. So we're on our way to Dubai. So again, when we arrive, we'll be coming in from the south west. And this is Qatar, so we'll be passing Qatar to the south. I heard Americans say cutter. Instead of cutter, it was said C-U-T-T-R, this kind of boat, a cutter. No, it's Qatar. Well, this is the capital of Qatar, which is Doha? Let's see. Switch to English. And there's Doha. So, Qatar. And then we'll fly into the United Arab Emirates, which is so Abu Dhabi is also part of that's one of the Emirates, but that's why it's called United Arab Emirates. It's a conglomerate of Emirates, and another emirate is Dubai, and another emirate is I think there are 4 of them. Probably Fujairah, and Al Ain, and no, this must all be Abu Dhabi then. And of course Bahrain is here. Now that the missiles are flying in this area, perhaps interesting to get and this is QA. Which are all being targeted by Iran as we speak. And I've often wondered why, because indeed this is the strait. And if you zoom in, you see the compass rose. The diameter is set on the bottom right. So if you want to know approximately how wide that street is, I think it's between those 2 islands here. That's probably Iran here. Well, this is only 29 nautical miles. It's almost like the English Channel. Of course, it's easy to choke, to block by whoever wants to block it. And I wonder, why haven't they built, perhaps not a channel, not a Suez Canal for those ships across here, but so that if this is closed, they can use that channel and go like this, for instance. I'm just let's switch. We've got nothing else to do, so that's why if you would, for instance, start digging here. Okay, let's put our target there. Okay, so now we can see it. You see the bottom left. If you switch to the little flag, then the crosshair gives the distance to our target. So if you go to the other side, how far is that? Oh, that's 110 nautical miles. Yeah, that would be a channel of 110 nautical miles. But why not start in Dubai? Or somewhere in that neighborhood. So if you started here, you would start digging to here. Well, that's only 54 nautical miles, and that would be already far enough from this place, which will be the focus of the choking. And which now, if you look at those maps, that means ship is attacked while by Iran, for instance, while passing this strait, presumably that ship will always go through UAE. No, that's not it. That's not a UAE. That's no longer UAE. That's there's a border here, so this must be perhaps it's part of Oman. Could it be? This interesting. So what was I saying? Well, yeah, why not make a canal, or if that's too expensive, just a pipeline so the ships can unload here in case of a crisis, and the gas and the oil can be transferred. Or why not from all these places build a pipeline that goes to here? I mean, there are pipelines much longer than that have been built, and then your ships will be loading here, and you'll never get choked by the Strait of Hormuz. That has not been done yet. It's a bit weird. It's probably some geopolitical reason for it. Can be that there is enough money, because there is per definition enough money to do that. There must be another reason for that. Anyway, we're gonna see that closer front, because we're flying to that area, and here we are. Good. It's oh yeah, we have that's why you get this weird readout, because we have changed our, we should put our target back to number 1, and that's very easy. So our target is now somewhere in the world. We've put it, you can put it anywhere you want, but just click on the plus on top, or you can do that also here on the plus on the bottom. Then there you go. We're suddenly back in business. Yep. 72, 74, to the right. And we're, oh dear, still 400 nautical miles. Gonna see if I can increase the speed a bit. It's, then we can get closer to our red tape. And we might get the occasional overspeed warning. Now, perhaps you don't. You can. So we're tracking now the plane with a kind of. Yeah, you can imagine it's a trailing plane or tracing plane, tracking plane. But there's a button. If I click on it, then that plane suddenly stays stationary. I'll do that now. No. There you go. You can see it go. And kind of It's a complicated thing. And now we're flying away. If I press back on. Yeah. And now again. Okay. I let it fly a bit. No. Now it should work. Well, we've got nothing else to do. And now I can turn around and put me in the path of the plane. And now you can see the speed at which we're flying. Oh, that's pretty fast, isn't it? Because you don't get an idea. Don't usually get an idea from how fast we are flying. There we are. That's faster than Formula 1. It's fun. Wow. Gonna do that last one more time to get us back close to the plane. Hold on. I lost my screen. And the last time. Getting closer. Block it. There we are. And with all that playing around, we are now at still perfectly on track. Oh, we've gone over speed. That's what you get when you leave the cockpit. Just slightly. As said, perhaps the next plane I'm going to use is one with auto throttle. That's much easier for doing these demos, because it has already happened that while I'm doing all that talking and showing around straightway and stuff, that I was almost stalling the plane when landing. Yeah, with an auto throttle you won't have that easy. But it has its charm. It's a charm, a manual throttle, because it keeps, and the plane isn't entirely a computer. There's still at any moment human intervention requested, necessary. So yeah, I can imagine that some people prefer to keep it off the throttle, and also to have this sense of control at any time. It's still 1 hour to the yeah, approximately to our top of descent. Well, it doesn't calculate, it calculates distance, and perhaps I'm going to change that to ETE, but yeah, I think if it's in nautical miles, the distance, that tells you, I mean, you have an idea how long it's going to take, because and that way you can always look at the first waypoint, which is only a bit later than the top of descent. Let's say 20 minutes, I think. So if you deduct 20 minutes, it's, our top of descent will be approximately 40 minutes. And till then I'm gonna crash out in the back of the plane. Or visit the lovely toilet. So I'll leave the screen on, and that the flight continues, that we have a real life experience. Catch you later. here we are back. And that was a good nap. It looks like the autopilot brought us to the south of Qatar. Passing the south of Qatar and... hold on. Good. Where are we on our approach? Oh, 63 nautical miles for a double descent. And it'll be interesting to see what time is remaining when we reach our top of descent, because we can use that for future reference to our first waypoint. Come over these islands, which are these islands here. Arab names, we're not complaining. That's part of a nature reserve. If you see a green line like that, that's usually a nature reserve. So this is a nature reserve. Part of that too. And we're already in the airspace of the United Arab Emirates. Almost there. So we're going to Dubai, the sub-destination. And we'll be starting our descent pretty soon. 15 nautical miles before we start our descent. Gonna set our parent altitude, the autopilot, so it's 1500 feet. Set it to 1500 feet. And that way we level off automatically at our parent altitude. It's a bit too much. There we go. And we're also going to check the weather or our barometer setting, if that has changed. Perhaps do a reload to make sure. Or Dubai. Dubai. Okay, I see that Mecca has expired 4 days ago. Ooh, that's not good. Perhaps Microsoft's Flight Simulator has a better Mecca. 20 nautical miles. Not available. Not available. Then we'll have to wait till the end. So this is entirely unreliable. Let's keep our runway as planned. Normally you would be advised by your ATIS or your ATTC as to the barometer setting and your winds or the active runway, which we don't have because we don't have ATC or anything. So we have to derive as good as possible that information from somewhere else. And 30 nautical miles. Well, hopefully the Microsoft Flight Simulator will give us a barometer setting, and perhaps a wind direction too. That would be a challenge. So changing our route last minute. The routine is you have to delete the last waypoint. Hold on. You have to go to the last waypoint, then delete the before last waypoint. Yeah, and then add the before last waypoint again. Then is that the last waypoint? Nautical miles. And that must be this island looks there's an airport, even a big one. But again, can't read Arab, perhaps in English. Oh, Dalma Island. Nautical miles. So in straightway, as soon as your glide slope is 2.5 degrees or more, then it starts giving a descent rate, and before that it's just the top of descent. So it's independent of what altitude you're cruising. It doesn't really matter. It just looks at your glide slope. .4. Well, if we don't get a barometer setting, we need to fly on site, which is not ideal. Can do is use our so it's 41,000. Oh, it's about 1013. Looks like a good setting, because look, we are supposed to cruise at 41,000 and oh no, so we should be at 41,700. Switch it to we should be at 700. Perhaps I should increase it then to get an approximation. That's too high. No. Okay, so in the meantime we've reached our top of descent and we're at 2.6. We'll go to 3 degrees and then we'll start our descent. Now we'll get our barometer somewhere else. Well, just for fun, I'll put it at 1700. There we are. So that's 1044, which is excessively high. But now our GPS corresponds with the altimeter of the Cessna, approximately. We'll see what that does. And perhaps we'll adjust it along the way. And still going. Just looks like an oil terminal in the middle of the ocean, the sea. An island. Looks like I have also for oil purposes. This one. And indeed it looks like it's yeah, got all these oil terminals. A transfer island probably. And then you got these this here, which looks artificial, and indeed there is some kind of oil terminal. Anyway, we are at 3 degrees, so we're gonna descend. Just here, and put our descent rate at minus 2,700. Minus 2,700, 600, and we're descending. There we are. So at 14, quarter of an hour. That's all it takes to descend from 40,000 feet to our apparent altitude. Interesting to know. And we're descending. If you look at this from the, you can clearly see our, if you look at our contrail, so it's descending at a 3 degree glide slope. And Dubai must be in the clouds, and the weather looks like we have an overcast, a bit of a broken, which should be no problem for straightaway. Always keep it at the larger number, so it says 26 and something, then make it 27, 2700. That gives the best results. The pilot is the interface between straightaway and the autopilot. Just adjusting our lateral course. Well, if you look at the GPS altitude and the altitude in the Cessna at 1044, well, it kind of corresponds. So can it be 1044? It's really high. The standard is 1013. Perhaps we have a Microsoft Flight Simulator, a METAR for Dubai, or another airport, no METAR, and no METAR. Nope. 'Clouds are at a pretty high ceiling. We're still at 30,000 feet and we're already descending through the clouds. Almost. Very high ceiling. $2,700, but we're gonna descend pretty fast, so we are at parent altitude when we're already above. It's flat as a pool table, Dubai, so why not be already at parent altitude when we're over the sea, and then we can nicely do our sightseeing. So that's why we put in much more than 2,500. 2,000. That straightway suggests 2,400. We're doing 2,800. And the idea is to get to pattern altitude before we reach the Burj. We're in the clouds. There you can see the coastline. Switch our landing lights on. Better too soon than too late. There's no drag, I think, in the citation if you extend if you light up the landing lights. Perhaps we may blind somebody else. I don't know what the regulations are with regard to using your landing lights above 10,000 feet. Perhaps it's not a good idea, that you may blind other traffic. On the other hand, it makes you very visible to other traffic as well. So, okay, we're under that high ceiling. I think that's already the. Oh yeah, there it is. That must be the Palm Island, or the Palm Peninsula. We're at 2,900, which is good. I mean, it's gonna get us at apparent altitude level before we reach the tower. Of course, 1,500 feet. It's just the top of the tower, I think. 200 feet above sea level. And, yes. Gonna check one more last time for the meteo. Abu Dhabi. Oh dear, so no, there's no. For Abu Dhabi, there's no meteo. Shame on you, Microsoft Flight Simulator. Ooh. 1700. So we're a bit too. Reducing it a bit. Trying to track the GPS altitude with the Cessna. Ah, we are 1031 already. That's better. A bit more. Yeah, and a bit more. Ah, that's about. Ah, that's more comforting. Gotta reduce our speed to 250. I have to do that manually because of the auto throttle. Okay, so we got 1027. We deducted it from the GPS altitude. That's the best we can get. And it nicely tracks the our GPS altitude, more or less. Minutes to the Burj Khalifa, and the other one is called the Burj, one that looks like a sail. I know that the Arab Burj is Arab for tower, so they all start with Burj. So the other one is Burj. Well, we'll spot it. Okay, looks better. We broke through 10,000 feet and our speed is okay. We're descending pretty fast, but that's just to make sure we get to our apparent altitude before we reach the tower. And that's the unmistakably the Palm Island. And that second bush is in the neighborhood of the Palm Island, if I'm not mistaken. Perhaps it's simulated. Yeah, this is the slowest I can get the Cessna at this descent rate. It's completely idle now, and I'm not going to use the speed brakes. And I could make now we want to go to apparent altitude as soon as possible. As said, it's entirely flat, so it's more dramatic if we come in at apparent altitude, which is 1532 officially set by straightway, and we're rounding it down to 1500. And that's what we've set here, 1500. Perhaps we can fine-tune the barometer with the GPS altitude once we're at level. And 2 degrees to the left. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Otherwise we're gonna fly past the tower. Gonna decrease our descent rate so that we can stick to that 251 because we're exceeding a bit, so descent, and we're gonna get to our better altitude. There we are. That'll reduce our speed, and we are right on track for the tower. It's 27 nautical miles, and we're coming in low. So I can let the speed drop off to flap speed 15. And there you go. Wow, that's pretty hazy in front of us. So that's not good. We're at 1500, and its GPS says no. And flaps 15. So the GPS says way too low. So we were way too low. That's what you get. So I'll try and get this at a higher level, just by twisting the barometer. It's 22 nautical miles to the bush. $1,300. Bit higher. Bit higher. So we're already at 14 hectopascal. Let's use it even further. And now we're almost yeah. And now we're good. So that's for emergencies. If you don't have a local barometer, you can use your GPS altitude, but of course that's not certified, but it's better than having nothing at all. And that's what we're doing now. 1500 and 1500 on the GPS and 1500 on the Cessna. That's the best we can do. And there's the other one. So that's the sail, the one that looks like a sail. That's nice. And then straight ahead of us must be the... there's another big one. So that one is... I don't know that one. Didn't know there was another big tower like that. We don't have special scenery for Dubai, so it's just a standard. And there's the one we're looking for. Yep, the Burj Khalifa. And our speed is between the two flap settings. It's perhaps a bit less, and I hope I don't touch it accidentally. Now, what you see the red thing that has appeared in. That means as soon as you're at pattern altitude or below, it starts giving you a descent rate to the threshold of the airport. Yeah. Sorry, now it gives the descent rate to the... so ignore it for now. Flying now to the... and then we'll switch, later on we'll switch to... so you should ignore it because we're not descending yet. And so on our right is the Palm Island. Oh, almost missed that. That's the Palm Island, and then on our left is the world, but it's slowly sinking back into the sea again. I've learned from a reliable source. Man's battle against nature, or something along those lines. So we're gonna take the Burj from the left side, just because we can. Or and there's the other Burj. A yacht. Okay, looks pretty decent. Normally we're gonna pass to the right of the tower, not to the left. Because look, we're at 79 degrees and the tower is at 76. So, yeah, from the right is better because then we can have the cockpit view. Just imagine that we are the Emirates advertising 380, I think. Oh, it's way higher than 1500. How tall is it? Downtown Dubai, and that's that river, and that's the Burj. And that's what it would look like if you would be allowed to do this in your private plane. And yeah, that's huge. There we are. You hear the chime, that means we have arrived. And there it is. Oh, that's nice. great, and there's the other tower at sunset. It's sunset. The sun is setting. Nice. I can imagine there are sceneries. Can download special sceneries for Dubai, but we're not into that. We're moving away from our target. So what we're gonna do is go to the airport. Let's get back to our cockpit. Where is the airport? Just go to number 3, the last waypoint. And this is, we're at 4.2, so we're gonna do a left pattern. We're gonna land to the northeast. So we're gonna fly parallel to the runway. Just turn till we are parallel with the magenta arrow, which is the... and now we're at 2.8 nautical miles from the center line. So we're in our downwind now, but 2.8 is perhaps a bit too close if we have to make a turn of 180. We won't be doing a base at this distance, so I'm gonna make our cross-track error with the center line a bit larger than 2.9. Like so. Putting some distance between us and the center line. Now we are at 3. Let's move along a bit. You can enjoy the scenery here while I don't really need to see the cockpit because yeah, I'm not... So if you were to descend now, it's 3.3, which is... we can't descend because we're not yet aligned. Okay, so I'm gonna fly parallel to the runway. And then fly some distance out before we do our turn to left base. Slightly turning, and then we'll fly straight for some time now. We're at a good distance away because our glide slope, if you were to turn now, it's only 1.9, whereas it should be 3. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn to left base. There you go. And while we do that, we'll extend our landing gear. Turning on left base, and make it right angles then, like so. And our speed is perfect for oh, I said right angles. And when the deal starts moving, which is still not a, yeah, it will start moving. We'll turn to onto base. There you go. On final, I mean. So we're turning on final. And the airport should be center line. where's the airport?
Autopilot.
Autopilot disengage, and there is the airport. Oops. I think we're a bit off. Because there it is. And we're gonna land on the left. Flaps out. Gonna speed down a bit. .4, which is steep. Steep, but our speed is good. Gonna sink through our descent rate to our glide slope a bit. Land. Yeah, there we are. Laps up. Welcome to Dubai. And get our first get off. Yeah. Oh, we missed that one. Then we'll take the next one. Okay, we'll get off here. Right. We'll put out our landing lights. Get off the runway first. Remove all our dots. Yes, now we are. You can see where we are. Here, and we want to go. Yeah, where do we want to park? That's concourse A. Let's say we want to park at concourse B somewhere. So you need to take a left here. So take a left here, and then immediately take a left to the right here. That will go somewhere here. Normally you get your, the taxiways are named in straightways, so if you get the instructions, you can set these points according to your instructions, so you know approximately where to our landing lights, that we don't blind anybody. Our strobe and our landing lights and our taxi lights on. And then we can park to brakes release. You can see us taxiing, and then we have to take pretty soon turn to the left here. That'll be this one. I think we overshot it a bit because there is, yeah, we overshot it, but that doesn't really matter because we can take this one. We'll come to the same point where we want to be. Now that's because there's a bit of a delay between straightaway and Microsoft, but in real life you would have that delay. And now we are here on the right, to the right. There we are. I will just turn somewhere to the left here. And we see a, suppose this is park here. We'll pretend to be a big airliner. There we are. And come on, put us with a perfect. So, welcome to Dubai. As a debrief, that catching the center line didn't go all as planned, so I did make a perfect square with the base, and that's probably the reason why I was wandering in the end a bit, but we found it. It's VFR. And okay. So I hope you enjoyed this. These videos are long and tedious, but as a matter of principle, I'm not cutting out any time, and that's why it takes a bit long. But the idea is to show that you can use a straightaway for navigation and even for an airport approach. And I hope to see you next time for next leg on our journey with a straightaway around the world. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye-bye.